I know A to Z what the problem is, how to help that individual, and the reality is that they've been dependent too much on family and friends to bring them business. They don't know how to sell. And when the family and friends brought them business, they didn't develop a database.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Michael right here with TopShotPro, and today we're bringing back another episode of the Producer Mindset. Today we have a very special guest. He, in my eyes, is a man, a myth, a legend. You're going to meet Danny Morel. So, Danny, from what I've gathered so far, you're an entrepreneur since the age of 18, have sold hundreds of homes year over year, having sold over $1 billion in real estate. And you've also been featured in magazines like Forbes, Entrepreneur, Huffington Post, Business Insider, Success Magazine. Currently, from what I've gathered, you're running some of the cutting edge programs like Intero, Breakthrough, Launch, and Leverage. You are the author of the Resilience Roadmap, which is a guide to build your ideal type of business. And you have the event called the Relentless event, where you have got the opportunity, or you had the opportunity to interview people like Gary Vaynerchuk, Rob Dyrdek, and the late great Kobe Bryant. Welcome to the Producer Mindset, man. How are you?
Doing great. How about yourself?
Great. Thanks for joining us today. So essentially, you know, one of the big things with the Producer Mindset is to constantly seek to connect real estate agents with people who have done it, have crushed the game, and are, you know, constantly asking for people to evolve themselves. One of the big things that I've seen recently in your content is you have the mind, body, soul challenge, right? And I love it because it's completely different. It's outside of real estate, but it's so related to business once you get in the business for real. So can you tell us a little bit about a little bit about yourself, maybe introduce yourself a little bit for those of you if they haven't heard of you?
My name is Danny Morel. I live here in Southern California. I've been in the real estate industry now, gosh, I think it's like 24 years or something like that. And you know, I started really because my dream was to buy my mother a house. And I ended up coming across a real estate agent at the time because I was saving up money to buy us a house. I was 18 years old, and my goal was to buy us a house by the time I was 21 because we were just living in a really poor neighborhood. And, you know, I met this guy, and then, you know, I don't know why, something told me, ask him, is there any money to be made in real estate? And when I asked him, he said, there sure is. And I said, tell you what, I'll work for you for free. I work 6 days a week. I'll work for you for free on Sundays, as long as you teach me the ropes. And he said, okay, great. And I've always just been a believer in myself. And I think that's, you know, the first thing I'd love for your audience to recognize is that if you believe in yourself, not only do you invest in yourself, but you take risks on yourself, you know. And that's a big separator amongst human beings who excel at a high level and those that don't. And, you know, I was willing to take that risk because I knew that the information that I could learn would someday be worth way more than anything that the guy could pay me. It was kind of interesting. He told me, okay, my job is to go to a swap meet. He set me up at a swap meet. And he said, as people walk by, just talk to them and get their names and phone numbers. Said, okay, cool. I kid you not. I said, so what's good? What's good? And he says, if you can get like 7 names and phone numbers, like I'd be really happy. And I go, okay, great. Second thing is you got to get really, really competitive, not with anybody else, but with yourself, you know? And so I always wanted to find out like what the threshold was, and I wanted to try to beat it, you know? And so, so I said, I'm going to go for 20. And sure enough, that first day I gave him like 21 leads, and the rest is history. He felt bad. He started to pay me, you know, $500 for every sale that he made. And, you know, that led to me getting my own license, starting off in the business. My first year I sold 28 houses, the second 30, the third 32. And I was a little bit stuck there because I was only predominantly working with buyers. I didn't know how to take listings. And 5 years later, at the age of 27, I was making $1.5 million a year, doing about 150 deals a year, working 4.5 days a week. So I pride myself in the fact that I built an actual business. You know, it didn't need me 7 days a week. It was operating not with or without me at that time, but for a sales business, those were pretty good numbers in my eyes. And then I lost it all. And in 2009, 2010, I started Intero Real Estate Services and became the #1 franchisee of that company. 2 years ago, we did $1.1 billion in sales. Last year, we just missed it. We did 980 million in sales. So we hover between 900 and 1.1 billion in sales. And I'm working on something right now that is going to take, I think, the country by storm. And we're going to have a lot of people become very wealthy in real estate. So.
That's great. Notice how you didn't say California, you said the country. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's just, you know, our vision is just, you know, we're really, really good at what we do. We're, I think, one of the first coaching / real estate companies to actually kind of really merge the two and make them like seamless. And so we're about to change our compensation model, really do something really special for real estate agents and really just go after it. And we see ourselves having, you know, 10,000 plus agents in the company within the next 30, 60, 48 months.
That's great. That's great.
Awesome.
So you mentioned, you know, you're young, making all this money, only working 4.5 days a week, right? And to do something like that, you obviously have to have a system in place to where, you know, you can be the head of your brand, the face of your brand, and ask who, not how, as far as all of this, you know, the other work that actually goes within the, you know, the real estate transaction. And my question to you is at what point did you start systematizing your business in a way that you could only work 4 days a week?
Yeah, that's a good question. So step #1 in all of that is momentum. I love the young people of today, and I love the way they think, and yet there's a lot that they're missing out on, you know, because, you know, nowadays you can go run a couple of ads and start getting some leads right away.
Right.
But like, what you're missing out on is you're missing out on, you know, really learning and knowing how to sell. Because there's something very valuable about going out there and knocking on doors and getting your teeth kicked in, quite frankly. There's something very, very valuable about prospecting. This is the way I used to do it with 2 headsets. I would have 2 conversations, one conversation with 2 different people at the same freaking time. And I would just mute one pad and mute the other one and unmute the other one and hang up on this one and dial on this one and hang up on this one and dial on this one. I was like a freaking machine. So there's something that I think the young realtors of today are really missing, is that they're not learning the ropes when it comes to actual sales, right? So I would say that's #1. Anybody listening, you got to get to 30 closings a year ASAP. I call it dirty 30. I don't care how you do it, quite frankly. I don't care if you have to knock on doors. I don't care if you go through Zillow. I don't care if you work with buyers. I don't care if you work with sellers. Get to 30 closings a year, because anywhere in the country, 30 closings a year puts $250,000 a year in your pocket. And it does a couple things to you. #1, psychologically speaking, it gets you used to a new money thermometer, which the only way you're going to grow is if your money thermometer grows, your money mindset grows. I actually have a journal on my website that you can purchase for like $25, and it does just that. It helps your reticular activating sensor to believe that you are capable and worthy of making more money. Because if you don't believe it, the universe is perfect. It only rewards you with what you believe in your inside. Okay.
Yep.
So I think that's #1, is get to 30 deals a year as fast as you possibly can and build that momentum. Because as you build that momentum, Josh, that momentum is going to tell you where and how to replace yourself, you know? Right. But without that momentum, you kind of don't really even need to have that conversation. So I would say that's #1. So #1, I built that momentum, and at about 30 deals, I hired my first assistant. I always had a TC. I just believed in a TC since day #1. Hired my first assistant, and then at about 30, 40-ish deals, I hired my first buyer's agent so I could go full force into sellers. And then at about 60 deals or so, I brought on a second buyer's agent and a listing coordinator. And I teach all of this stuff, you know, who to hire, what personalities, what to pay in my coaching program. But the beautiful thing about it is that there's no guessing game. There's literally like a step-by-step, you know, kind of like,
right.
Yeah, that you just gotta follow and you'll get there too. So yeah.
That's great.
Awesome. And one of the things that you had mentioned is, you know, at one point you realized you were working with the buyers, right? And maybe at that point you kind of felt stuck. A lot of the real estate agents that we talk to, they get on that threshold, and they get stuck. So how do you defy that, the odds of like, okay, how do you like unstuck yourself? Is that the way to put it?
Yeah, it's all good. So
you get unstuck.
yeah, no, it's cool. No, thank you for that. So here's another thing. Because I've done so many deals and because I coach so many businesses and business people, I know everything you're about to tell me before you even tell me. Like I could ask you a couple questions, and in 3 questions I could know who you work with, how many days a week you work, how many hours you work. I could know where you get stuck. I could know if you know how to sell or you don't know how to sell. I could know if you're working past clients or you don't not working past clients. I can know if you're out there taking listings or working with buyers. I know everything with 3 questions. And the reason why is because it's so, the pattern that people in this industry fall into is so predictable. Think about this. For your young person listening to me right now, who's used to making $50K a year. Okay, great. You go out and close 20 deals in this business, you're gonna make $150,000 to $200,000 a year. You're making more than most of your parents, your uncles, your grandparents. You're making more than anybody in your family ever made. You're making doctor money now. So you see, I know right off the bat, unless you get the right psychological coaching, you are going to find and attract ways to keep you in the box that you believe you should be kept in. It's just a fact of life. Mm-hmm. It's all psychology. It's all psychology. So I meet people all the time and they tell me, I ask them, okay, how long have you been in the business? 18 years. 18 years, great. Okay, fantastic. And I do basic math, and I know if you did it the way I teach you to do it, you should be at least at 80 to 100 deals a year in 18 years. At least. Working 3 days a week, right? So I go, good. How many days a week you're working? 7. I already know. I already know they never mess with their database. I already know they never bothered to build it. And then I go, and how many deals a year are you doing? 14. True story. I had this conversation. This was 2 days ago. And she joined the coaching program. Okay, no problem. Fantastic. Great. And what's your goal? 50. No problem. I know A to Z what the problem is, how to help that individual. And the reality is that they've been dependent too much on family and friends to bring them business. They don't know how to sell. And when the family and friends brought them business, they didn't develop a database. So you see what I'm saying, Michael, is that, and why did all that happen? Because the individual was comfortable making $150,000, $170,000 a year. I, day one, told myself, I looked around, I said, all right, everybody else around here makes $100,000 a year working 7 days a week. I'm gonna go out and think some dumb stuff. I'm gonna make $1 million a year working 5 days a week.
That's it.
See, from day one, I shifted everything. I shifted my expectation. Therefore, I shifted what I did. Therefore, I shifted how I worked. Therefore, I shifted if I paid for coaching, I didn't pay for coaching. What do you think I did? Immediately, I have never been in business and not paid for coaching. I have 4 coaches that I pay right now in my life. One of them I pay $1,500 to go see once a month for 5 hours. And that's one of them. And yet some people, they've never hired or never paid for a coach or never will. Why? Because in their mind, they've already achieved the level that they see themselves achieving.
That's very true. So we listen to Dan Sullivan, Joe Polish, don't know if you know, from Strategic Coach, those guys, and they constantly talk about like find new ways to multiply yourself, multiply your time. So definitely agree with it. And at which point did you realize, okay, well, I have a business now, but now obviously like we transitioned onto like 2010, 2011, social media is just taking our generation by storm, right? At which point did you say, now I need to get noticed and I need to get this nationwide kind of an audience and presence? And did you like find yourself building a personal brand? How did that go for you?
That's a great question, and my answer may not help your audience, but I'll tell you the honest to God answer. I always knew, if you watch any of my YouTube, if you see any of my posts, I actually rarely talk about real estate.
Yeah.
To me, real estate is just a vehicle to help you accomplish financial freedom, which financial freedom is an area in your life that you need if you ever want to be free to experience the other areas of your life, right? Like I love travel. So I literally just stopped planning a trip with my assistant. I'm going to go to Tulum in 3 weeks.
Nice.
And then I'm going to Italy for a good, I think I'm going to go for 2 weeks. I'm just going to get out of here and go.
Awesome.
And then at the end of the year, I'm going to go to Colombia. But that's me. I love to travel. You see, and I don't fly coach. I have to fly first class. And I stay in great hotels because my freaking house is like a 5-star house. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I only bring that up. I only bring that up because these are standards that I have set in my personal life. Okay. And so when you have those kinds of standards in your personal life, what starts to happen is little by little, you start to understand who you have to become in order to attract the money that you need to have in order to live up to those standards, right? The second thing, so when it comes to the social media game, I always realized my true gifting and my true ability is helping to inspire people to evolve into the best version of themselves. And I used to keep myself in this little real estate box until I realized, like, you know, when I held my first event, Relentless, a whole bunch of non-realtors would come, and realtors would come, and non-realtors would come. And that's when I started to realize what my true gift is. And that's just to help all people. And real estate just happens to be the business that I'm in to provide me the financial freedom I need to live the life that I want to live. And that's the way I look at it. So social media for me has been a non-negotiable because it just allows me to reach a lot more people.
That's great.
That's awesome. That's really good. And I mean, now where you're at, you got so many coaching programs, you got Relentless. And like you said, real estate has only been like a vehicle, right? It's a part of your life, and it's been a really good part of your life and your business. But essentially, as you found your calling, has that helped? I mean, doing the coaching and the public speaking, and now I've seen like videos you're talking about relationships and all of these things. Has all of that like actually made your real estate business even like better, because now it's like people are getting to have more of a personal, emotional touch with you as a human being? Like, how does that work?
That's a good question. I will say this, and I will admit this. You know, as I was growing my company, I was a bit of a jerk because I was highly competitive with everybody. Highly competitive. So I was one of those guys that if you weren't on my team, you just ain't on the team, and like get the hell out of my way because I'm gonna roll you over, you know. And now as I've matured and I've really, you know, began my spiritual journey, I just realized that there's just no place for that. So what it has done is it has definitely helped more people be attracted to our message. And as we prepare for where we're about to launch in the next 6 to 10 months, I believe it's going to help. Yeah, I think it's going to be an atomic bomb that's about to drop. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Exciting.
And go ahead, Josh.
No, I was just saying that's exciting.
I know. I'm excited to see it because so one of the things, you know, we talk with Keller Williams, we talk with Compass, we talk with Remax, we talk with all of these guys. And it's like, everybody's like so different, but I mean, real estate, it just comes down to a one-on-one relationship that you build with your clients, right?
Sure.
So I'm excited to see like what kind of relationships that brings. And, you know, one of the questions that I wrote here for myself, and this is on a very selfish standpoint, I read in one of your posts, the inner battle that keeps you from earning more. Can you explain that thought a little bit? Because there's a ton of agents that right now we work with, and they say, yeah, I know I have to do video. Everybody keeps talking I have to do video. Everybody says that I need to build a personal brand. And we're like, this is literally your opportunity to connect from the one-to-one to the one-to-many, right? So like, what does the inner battle that keeps you from earning more, what does that mean?
Yeah, that's a great question. Here's the number one question that all of us as human beings have to ask ourselves, are we it? Are we it? I need to ask myself, am I it? Like, do I believe in myself so much that I believe I'm it? I'm it. I'm the best at what I do. And if that's the case, if I'm really it, then it is my obligation to get myself out in front of as many people as possible. So why don't people do video? Because deep inside, they don't really believe they're it. And by the way, that's not to speak negatively. We're talking about, 97% of the human population deals with this form of self-doubt. And so they have this inner battle within themselves that they're constantly trying to evolve, and they're constantly trying to get better. And that's why we love personal development, and we love reading books. And yet deep inside, deep in the mind, the ego, really, unfortunately, has people trapped. And it has people thinking of themselves as a certain way and a certain way only. And until people can learn, and it's part of my life's mission is, until people can learn how to quiet that and how to change that, that inner battle is going to persist. It's going to persist. Yeah. And I'll give you an example. I used to be about 35 pounds heavier than I am right now. And this was while I was making money, building my business. I was working out every day. Life was great. I thought, life was good. But I had that inner battle in myself where I wanted to be healthy, but I never really saw myself as healthy. So since I didn't see myself, right? Since I didn't see myself as healthy, I had a difficult time getting healthy. Until one day I finally understood what the root problem was, and that's that I didn't love myself. Like, it's sad to say, but I genuinely didn't love myself to take care of myself in a way to where my body would reflect the inner love that I have for myself. And so that's an example of that inner battle. And people have that inner battle with self-value, self-worth, with money, with weight. They have that inner battle with business. They have that inner battle with travel. They have that inner battle with fun. They have that inner battle with relationships. The universe is perfect. It's going to reward you with exactly how you see yourself.
Oh, that's wow. That's like dropping a mic, right? That's awesome.
Clip. That was a good clip. Get me that clip.
Yeah, absolutely.
You'll get all of it.
So, lastly, I think honestly, so we've done a ton of these, and you've definitely provided value on every level, every aspect. So thank you very much. What's
can I say something funny? I'm gonna tell you something. So the old me came to me right now. This is the power of meditation, guys, right? Mm-hmm. And if you guys don't meditate, please go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Danny Morel Show. Subscribe, because I'm putting out 3 videos a week right now. Go to the bottom, and I created a playlist with a whole bunch of meditations. Some of them aren't even mine. They're just meditations that I follow just to help the community out, But if you don't learn how to meditate, your mind goes crazy, okay? And the ego is insidious. It's insidious. It's sneaky, and all it wants is to cause you suffering and pain. Mm-hmm. So I'll give you a perfect example. You said that, right? You said, we've had plenty of hosts. You've brought a lot of value. The minute you said the words, we've had plenty of guests before, my mind thought, yeah, but I'm the best one. Like who gives a shit? Like, who gives a shit?
If you don't believe it, you can't be it. You just said that.
Yeah, you're right about that. But then I had to tell myself, hold on, that doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that you brought out. So you see, it's a constant reminder of, I don't want to be that guy anymore. I just want to be the guy that helps a lot of people. So that was just a little funny.
Was there something that caused that switch in you, or was it just time and you getting the coaching, meeting people, reading, learning from yourself? Like, what was that switch?
That's a good question. No, I did ayahuasca.
Okay.
I did ayahuasca. It was an absolute life changer.
That's
Amazing.
see, that's the one part where, and I've talked about it in the past with like whether it's friends, clients, even my girlfriend. I'm like, I would love to try it, but I don't know if I'm like personally like. Did you feel like, okay, I don't know if I'm ready, but I'm just going to do it, or?
Okay, first off, I wasn't expecting to talk about this, but if you're gonna ask me, I'll tell you.
I mean,
I had heard about it. Yeah, I had heard about ayahuasca 11 years ago, 13 years ago, and at the time, to be perfectly honest, because of my spiritual beliefs at the time, I thought anything outside of what I believe is the devil. So I was like, that ayahuasca shit, that's the devil. I'm not touching that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that was my belief system, right? So I was like, nope, get out of here. I don't want to talk about it. Nope, I don't want to know about it. Goodbye. You know? And so, you know, recently, this was a year and a half ago, I was finally in a place in my life where I was just a little empty inside. And I saw a friend of mine. You guys know Gerard Adams, right? He's pretty popular.
Yep.
Yeah. So I was looking at his story, and he was somewhere in Costa Rica with the biggest smile on his face I had ever seen him have. And my mind told me, that's not Gerard. He normally doesn't smile. He's just not that guy, right? So a couple of months later, I call him, and I'm like, dude, what's up? He's like, what's up, man? How are you? And I go, everything is good, you know, whatever. And I go, he goes, cool, man. He goes, I go, hey, what were you doing? He goes, bro, I did ayahuasca. And I said, I literally, the minute he said that word, I said like this, sign me up, where do I go? I was just ready.
Wow.
Powerful.
Haven't looked back since.
Haven't looked back since. I've done 14 ceremonies now.
Wow. That's nuts, man. That's good
I'm
because
still alive. I'm not dead. You know, I just did one on Saturday. Yeah.
that's awesome, man. I definitely, at some point in time, I see myself trying it. That's why I just wanted to ask. We can edit it out or we can keep it. Totally up to you.
Oh, keep it, please. No. Keep it.
Okay. Thank you, man. But outside of that, you know, now we found out what the key to so much self-composure and like just, you know, brightness goes into human being, guys. Ayahuasca. But if there was any advice that you could give a starting real estate agent in their first couple of years in business, I mean, you went into it, you were hungry. I think, and it's such a cool story to hear because on your website, you kind of have a little bit of it, right? It's like growing up, food stamps, no money. It's not like this shit was handed to you. You literally went out there and you took it, right? Which I respect. So with the goal in mind, I want to purchase my mama home.
Yeah.
And the drive to just go out there and always beat whatever threshold was given to you. It was 6, you got 21. Like, come on. Like, what would you say to that starting agent that essentially doesn't know where to look, where to begin? And I know like the answer, like the obvious answer is like just start somewhere. But like, what would you say to like a younger you looking back?
Okay, I wouldn't say anything to a younger me looking back because me, I did 28 deals my first year. I was an absolute animal. I worked 7 days a week for 3 years in a row, nonstop. So whenever you hear Gary Vee say that, like he did that, I literally did that.
Yep.
I don't know if I would tell me anything because I'm happy with what I did. What would I tell anybody else? Just go. Stop thinking. Stop thinking. You have all the tools. You have all the knowledge. You have everything you need to make it in this business inside of you already. Yeah, but Danny, I don't know the contracts. You'll learn the contracts. Don't worry. Yeah, but Danny, I don't know how to open a house. It's simple. You just put the key in and you just open the house. Yeah, but Danny, and that's what the ego does. The ego will just try to tell you all the reasons why you can't succeed. I'm here to let you know, once you get past that, everything you need to succeed is right here. And that's just your belief in yourself and your desire to want to help people. And that's it.
That's awesome, man. Well, I personally want to thank you so much. Part of my little spiel in the intro was, well, something to say right there. Let me introduce a person that I draw a lot of inspiration on all aspects of business, relationships, and life. And you just talked you just talked the same exact game that I personally was expecting. So thank you so much, man. And that's pretty much it. Where can people find you online, and what can people expect the rest of 2020 and in the 20s from Danny Morel?
Wow. No one has ever asked me that, so I'll tell you because you asked me. Online, Instagram and YouTube are the best places. YouTube is just my name, DANNYMOREL. Pardon me. YouTube is Danny /Danny Morel Show, and Instagram is Danny Morel. Those are the two places where I'm the most active. All right. By this time next year, we will have a company that begins going nationwide. We've got people waiting for us in Colorado, Texas, Florida, New York, Chicago, ready to drop. Joining us will be like being a part of the EXP and the Keller Williams when it first started. It's going to be an opportunity to create some massive income and some massive residual income. Relentless will have 3,000 to 4,000 people in it, and I will be hosting 2 journeys, 2 retreats in either Mexico or Costa Rica for about 25 to 50 people, where we really go deep and really work on evolving the mind, body, business, and soul. That's what
awesome.
That's what we have.
I love it.
That's awesome.
And I have a horse. I have a horse.
There you go. That's really cool. Well, that's it for today's Producer Mindset, guys. Thank you so much, Danny, for joining us. Definitely a pleasure chatting with you, man. Really appreciate you. And you guys stay tuned because more values to come your way. So thank you again, Danny.
Thank you, guys. It's been an honor. And if anything I can do to help, just reach out, YouTube or Instagram.
Absolutely. Thank you, Danny.